Thank you so much for being here today. I want to welcome everyone to Manatee Tiger Bay. I am the president and moderator of this meeting. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I do want to make sure that I think we have one dignitary in the room, and that is Commissioner Ballard. Please give her a round of applause. And we did have Melton Little. I don't know if he's going to be coming, but he's running for District 71. And do we have anyone? We will be, if you are running for office and you sign up and you're going to run for office, we will be making sure that we announce that. Or if you are a dignitary, we do like to make sure that we honor your presence. Do we have any active duty members or veterans in the audience? Please raise your hand or stand up. Thank you so much. Please give them a round of applause. Okay, we are going to go into our actual program. Would you please silence your phones? And if you think you silenced them, could you double check for me again? I appreciate it. So today we're going to be speaking and having a discussion on workforce housing and affordable housing, and how we have these challenges in Manatee County and how these group of people are trying to combat those challenges. It's going to take the entire community to make sure that we help the people that most need it, and those people that we don't even know need them, we are trying to do our best. So today we're going to have several speakers, and they're going to be presenting to you today, and they're going to be telling you what they're doing. He has a pretty hefty one. Our first speaker is going to be Mark Vengroff, Managing Partner, One Stop Housing, One Stop Development and Construction. One Stop Housing LLC is fully integrated real estate investment, development, general contractor, and property management company located in Sarasota, Florida. One Stop Housing is a property management company for Vengroff Holdings, which is the largest owner of economical housing units in Sarasota and Manatee counties. One Stop Housing was recognized as top workplace in 2024 and 2025 by the Herald Tribune. 23 Business of the Year from both the Sarasota Chamber of Commerce and the Manatee County Chamber of Commerce. Prior to joining One Stop Housing, Mark was the CEO of Walker Advertising, a company owned by the private equity firm Clearlight Partners. Walker is the largest legal advertising agency in the country that helps legal firms market and grow their practice. Prior to joining Walker Advertising in 2016, Mark was the CEO of VWA for 9 years and was responsible for VWA growing to receivable management. Mark moved here in Florida in 2018 to take over the family business, One Stop Housing, and carry on his father, Harvey Vengroff's legacy. In 2019, he expanded the workforce housing development and management company by acquiring a commercial contracting firm and rebranded it under the One Stop Housing name. Today, One Stop Housing Development and Construction is fully integrated, provided as a licensed GC licensed plumbing and electric and roofing company. Please welcome Mark Vengroff as he describes how he is trying to make a difference in our community. Please give him a round of applause.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a real honor to be here. I really appreciate it. I put a couple of slides together just to kind of talk through some of the developments, but I wanted to share what we're doing from the little unique is that we are fully integrated. So we're the licensed general contractor, we're the licensed plumber, the licensed electrician, the licensed roofer. We have a full development team, a full property management team with our own security, maintenance. In fact, most of the maintenance folks are licensed heating and air and light plumbing. And then we work outside to help other entrepreneurs, many of them which were former tenants, either to start a pool cleaning company or tree cutting service or other businesses. And then we find that we have about 4,000 units. So we always say that we'll pay for all your training, we'll pay for your school, we'll pay for your equipment, we'll buy your truck, just pay us back. And we'll, as long as we do the books for them for the first 6 months to a year, because what we always find is that we spend, learning not to spend more than you make is a big thing. And then they're off and running, and the only thing we ever ask is, give us your friends and family discount for life, and we'll be your best client. And so, hence, that brings even our operating costs even lower. So we're operating as a for-profit with a very philanthropic mission. We're running anywhere between 35 to 40% below market for true market rate product. And what we do in return is we just lower the rents to make them affordable for anyone who works. So our only ask, meet us halfway. If you have a job, unless you're disabled, retired, or a full-time student, we expect you to meet us halfway, have a job, and we'll make the rent affordable so you can pay without any subsidies and take pride in the ownership of having your own apartment that you can call home. I wanted to share a few of the developments. This is really cool because capital can only go so far, and so we decided that we would start an employer group housing to help employers in the area, and this is the first of its kind. You hear Disney, Nike, Microsoft will build these great communities for their employees, but what about the mid-level or the smaller employers that want to have that strategic advantage in recruiting and retaining talent? So we built Forest Cove, and Don here from Goodwill is definitely one of our partners in this, along with Career Source, Spirit Movers, Oyster Bar. There's a number of really good companies that are a part of this, and basically they are co-invest with us. There's 156 apartments, one for a manager, and they are able to now create housing opportunities for anyone who wants to work for those companies to help them in their retention and recruitment process. So it's pretty cool. We're also doing this. You'll probably see this one. I think they ran out of concrete. These are all block and steel construction, by the way. We don't build and stick. This is 182 apartments next to the 240 that are existing. It's right there on First Street in Washington. And we really appreciate Commissioner Ballard and the county for helping us with a gap loan on this that made this one possible. But all of these properties, all of them I'm showing you, are 80% and below AMI at the rents. The incomes may vary because we just want everyone to be able to save. And the big story that we always find when we go through these is that if the rent's low, you can save money, and we find about 1 to 4 families every month move out of our apartments to buy their own place. 4 months ago, one woman lived with us for 8 years, and she actually bought her place for cash. So that was pretty cool. This is one we're doing a similar concept with the employer, but this is also in Manatee County. It's with the Arts Alliance to do this for the performers, performing arts, to come together to create a really cool event space and house their performers so they can afford to be here. At the harbor, we're building Pleasant Harbor. It's going to be for all the folks that work at the seaport. That's going to be about 186 apartments. And then in Sarasota, we've got 2 big developments that we're doing. One is 202 apartments, downtown Sarasota. This one we've earmarked for a lot of hometown heroes. And Michael Saunders partnered with us on one. It's 48 units. Half of it's gone to law enforcement, and that's right there on the park. Cool restaurant at the bottom. And then the latest is in Venice. We're spreading down. We're doing this with Mayor Pachota and the Pachota family. They doing the same thing, except for this is 100% hometown heroes as well. Firefighters, teachers, nurses, you name it. And then there'll be some apartments that are set aside for everyone else. We're doing a lot with the school districts. Unfortunately, Manatee, we'll get there. This is one for DeSoto County, where we're actually building out they say this is like the best thing in DeSoto, and you go there and there's such wonderful people. So this is, the teachers unfortunately have to travel a long distance. So we're building this out to make that happen. So anyway, so thank you very much. Love to answer questions later.
Cindy Spray, I do apologize. We do have a Manatee County School Board District 2 elected official here. I apologize. Please give her a round of applause. Next, we will have Commissioner Amanda Ballard. Do you want me to read your bio? You want to hear a little bit of it? Let's read a little bit of it. Commissioner Ballard grew up in upstate South Carolina and relocated to Manatee County following her graduation from law school in 2014. Before her election to Manatee County Commission in 2022, she served for almost 8 years as an attorney within the local child welfare system, where she dedicated her career to advocating for children and supporting vulnerable families. She is passionate about housing affordability, reducing homelessness, addiction recovery, job training, and strengthening Manatee County families. Commissioner Ballard has a long-standing commitment to public service and community engagement. She previously served on the board directors of Feeding Empty Little Tommies and Palmetto, and was an active member of Junior League. She serves as the chair of the Public Safety Coordinating Council as a commissioner liaison to the Children's Services Advisory Board. She is the vice chair for the Sun Coast Partnership to End Homelessness Leadership Council. She also serves on the Circuit 12 Juvenile Justice Advisory Board. She and her husband, David, are proud parents of 3 children, Cecilia, Brooke, and Barrett. The Ballard family are active parishioners at Our Lady of Angel Catholic Church. Please give her a round of applause as she comes.
Thank you so much for having me here today. And so I just want to give a quick snapshot of some of the things that we're doing here in the county, and I don't want to step on the toes of what other people are going to talk about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a few initiatives that we have relating to homelessness and what the county is trying to do to make Manatee County a more attractive place for affordable housing. So we have a real challenge in Manatee County being a coastal Florida community. People want to be here. People move down and pay cash, and it makes it really difficult for people who don't have that kind of money to really get a leg up. And so when I was working in child welfare, I saw from the beginning of my time that there were a lot of families that were really struggling to find and keep housing that they could afford and get their families back together. And so as time went on and the market got hotter and COVID came and even more people moved to town, I noticed that we were working with families who would do everything that they'd been asked to do to put their family back together, but they were waiting 6, 8 months or longer to actually get their children back in their care because they couldn't find somewhere safe, stable, and affordable to live. And so that was something that I was extremely concerned about, and I said, once, if I ever have the opportunity to do anything about this, I will make it a top priority, and that's what I've done as a commissioner. And so I was extremely lucky as soon as I came onto the board, thanks to the foresight of past commissioners who became part of the opioid litigation. Our county is receiving over the next 20 years $40 million in opioid settlement funding, and that funding is meant specifically to address the problems that opioids have caused in our community. And so rather than to spread that funding out over 40, 50 organizations, we've decided to take that funding and target it toward a few initiatives that will be really impactful and get people who have previously been on the street off the street, improve public safety, and really make a difference. So the first is our women's shelter, which is just opening. That will be able to take 40 women off the street. With wraparound services, they'll be able to stay there for about a month, and we're partnering with so many wonderful organizations to help those women find the next step. So it's not enough just to say, let's make it easier for you to be on the street, or let's give you a place to stay for the night. The idea is that we work with these amazing nonprofit and for-profit partners that we have all over the county that are already doing such good work, and help these women to find their next step and help them to get the training that they need to actually become a functioning and successful member of our community. The next step will be it will be our Fresh Start shelter, which will be an overnight shelter that will be run by the Sheriff's Office. Again, we will have significant wraparound services in place for that. And we will also have a component with drug court and community care court. So if you have people who are getting in trouble for things related to drugs or just for being on the street, we will have the opportunity for those people to go into the Fresh Start program, and we'll really clean up the streets and give people an opportunity to get better. That's about 1.5 years out. Once we have that online, that our Salvation Army is going to shift to serving completely families. And so they'll be able to serve 26 families at a time, keeping kids off the street and hopefully keeping a lot of kids out of the foster care system. And so we're really excited about that. But again, the important thing that that we've thought about when taking on these initiatives is, number one, how do we make them sustainable long term? Because we have funding for 15 to 20 years, but how do we ensure that 15 to 20 years from now, someone's not saying, wait a second, why didn't we figure out how to fund these after this opioid funding runs out? So we're working really hard on developing partnerships, grant opportunities, and relationships to make sure that these programs are sustainable for the really long term. And then again, working and making sure that Manatee County is an attractive place for real affordable housing, so that when people come out of these situations, they have somewhere to go that's actually affordable. And one of the things that I am working on now is changing our affordable housing incentives. So right now, we offer incentives for housing at 80 to 120% of AMI. That is actually, our area median income is so high that once you get to that 80 to 120%, it's actually above market rate housing. So it's not something that we need to be incentivizing at this point at the county level. So we're working to reduce or to eliminate those incentives at the 80 to 120% level, to really encourage people to build more affordable housing, offering incentives for people who are building additional affordable, not just 10% affordable. And so, yeah, thank you very much, and looking forward to questions if you have them.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Ballard. Next, we'll have Don Githens, President and CEO, Minnesota Goodwill, Goodwill Industries of Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast. Don Githens serves as the President and CEO of Goodwill Industries Minnesota, Inc., a nonprofit organization focused on workforce development and closing the skills gap through equitable opportunities. With over 16 years of experience within the Goodwill Industries International Network, Githens brings a deep understanding of mission-driven enterprise and nonprofit leadership. Please welcome Don Githens.
Thank you, Xtavia. First, I want to recognize Xtavia and Betsy Benak, who's also in the room. They serve on our board. Betsy's our board chair, so thank you both, and appreciate the opportunity to be here. First, who in the room has either shopped or donated at Goodwill in this community? Thank you. You're the reason why we're able to do all the great things that we do for our team members and our partners in the community. So, talking about employer workforce housing. So I'm going to keep these remarks short and save time for the end, because we are a unique investor in the Forest Cove Initiative. Years ago, it was more than a decade ago, Goodwill, Minnesota had the Beneva Oaks residents off of Beneva over by Soini. And that was for people with visual impairment and mobility challenges. That was a HUD program, and we exited that a while ago. The risk was far greater than the organization could potentially sustain. I met Mark a few years ago. It took us a few years to finally sign the papers and invest in the thing this past Friday. But the approach that Mark and the county and the other investors are bringing to serve people in the community, especially team members that we have. So on this side of the coast, Goodwill Manasota employs about 870 team members. And within close driving distance to the Forest Cove Plaza, we have about 270 team members that could very easily, commute to where they work, whether they work in our Ranch Lake location or our Mecca location over by the Ringling Museum, our logistics center tucked away off of 301, our corporate office, or our big store on Cortez and 34th. It's an opportunity for us to invest in an initiative to help support the community in general to bring this forward, but 26 of our team members are going to be able to stay, to rent units in the facility at very, very appealing rates. In the studio, I believe, Mark, it's $900 a month savings for an individual, about $9,000 a year. Sorry, I left the zero off. So too many numbers in my head right now. And what we found, Goodwill Manasota has what we call our Good Partner Coach program. And those are life coaches. And every one of our 1,600 team members has a life coach. And it was about 15% of our team members here in Goodwill, Manasota have identified that housing was a challenge, specifically rent and the price of the rent that they were paying. We've seen a number of team members put in what we call a pre-nomination. It's a transfer, right? We control the territory all the way down to Inglewood, over to DeSoto County, and a lot of our team members are relocating out of the Manatee and Sarasota core area to Northport and DeSoto County just because of the affordability of housing. So we like to, invest in our team members, and this was an opportunity for us to participate in this this investment to create that opportunity for these 26 team members each and every year. This is part of a larger investment that we're doing to help address the social determinants of health. We do a lot of work with our team members on financial literacy, digital literacy, and just basic employability skills training. You may not know it, but over 60% of our team members that we employ, out of our 1,600 team members, have some self-identified barrier to employment or documented disability. So this is a workforce, in many cases, our team members would struggle to maintain employment in a more traditional setting. And with the Good Partner Coach program and other programs that we offer our team members, we're able to give them that stable work environment so they can grow and learn and fulfill on what their goals are. Everyone has an individual development plan, me included. So that being said, before Xtavia's alarm goes off, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. We have partnerships with over 160 other nonprofits in this community. And if there's something that Goodwill may be a good partner for your organization and we're not already partnering, please let us know. We just want to help. And, with our infrastructure, there's the alarm. With our infrastructure, didn't think I was going to go 5 minutes, and everything else that we have from warehouses and logistics and retail space, but employment, including our community resource centers that are free of charge to people in the community as well as employers in the community. We're happy to have the conversation and see where we can come alongside and be a value add. So thank you for the time, and I'll answer any questions later. Thanks.
Thank you, Don. Next, we'll have Kathleen Kramer, Executive Director from Turning Points. Kathleen is newly appointed Executive Director of Turning Points, bringing with her over 15 years of nonprofit leadership experience. She offers a strong background in team development, community engagement, fundraising, and planned giving. Before joining Turning Points, Kathleen served as a licensed financial advisor with a Fortune 300 not-for-profit organization, where she provided strategic financial guidance and philanthropic planning. Originally from Michigan, Kathleen has lived in various states throughout the United States. Please welcome Kathleen Kramer.
I think I'm going to keep new executive director for like the first 10 years. It was my own fault. I did not send her my bio. She had to scrounge one off the internet, and I appreciate that. But I think maybe 10 years I'll stop saying I'm new. It's been 5.5. I came right during the heart of COVID. So Turning Points works to prevent and reduce homelessness in Manatee County. And instead of telling you about all the wonderful services that we have, I would invite you to come down and see them yourself for a tour. What I'd rather do is talk to you about how homelessness and housing are joined. Because people often, I heard somebody say that there is no other social service issue that breaks the brain as much as homelessness. And I think the reason that's true is because we each have so many feelings and emotions and personal experiences wrapped up in what we think are the causes of homelessness. So today, I want to try to take some of that emotion out of it and talk to you about what the data says. A failure or unwillingness to look at the data leads us often to think that the primary drivers of homelessness are things like mental illness, addiction, poverty, weather, progressive policies, and virtually anything that isn't homeless or isn't housing. Some, but not all of those factors are indeed, those factors are what can cause individual homelessness. And if somebody tells us that the reason they became unhoused is domestic violence, that is true. We want to honor that. That is their truth. But we need to remember that we have causes of both individual homelessness and there are causes at the community level, and they are not the same, and they are both true. So how does that work? Both are true, but they're different. Individual versus community causes of homelessness. If you want to understand the cause of homelessness at the community level, you have to follow the rent. And if you follow the rent, you will realize that the homelessness is primarily an affordable housing issue. If mental health were the main driver of homelessness, places with the most mental health illness should have the highest levels of homelessness. The data shows that that is not at all true. It's actually the opposite. So if you take Mississippi, which has one of the worst healthcare systems in America, it also has one of the lowest homeless rates. If drug abuse were the main driver of homelessness, it'd be reasonable to expect that the place that has the most drug use would have the most homelessness. Again, the data shows virtually no link. Take, for example, West Virginia has the single worst drug overdose mortality rate in the country, but one of the lowest homelessness rates in the country. Weather. States like New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, not exactly known for their tropical weather, have among the highest homelessness rates in the country. So we have places like Seattle, San Francisco, Boston, LA, who do have incredibly high rates of homelessness. These areas are not leaders in any of those factors that we mentioned. They're not the highest areas for mental illness or addiction or poverty. But what the data shows us is that they have in common high housing costs and low housing supply. Data clearly shows that high rent and low vacancies equals high homelessness. We live in beautiful Florida. Nobody wants to see homeless people. And what that leads to is that NIMBY mentality, not in my backyard. So we fight against things like affordable housing in our communities, but we forget it's the communities with the least affordable housing that will have the highest rates of homelessness. Communities have to plan. We have to build enough affordable housing. And when we don't plan, we can't be surprised when our homeless issue becomes a major problem in a community. Data clearly shows that the best track record of reducing homelessness, those communities do two things. They build ample housing, so that prevents many cases of homelessness from occurring in the first place. And they have ample subsidized housing to humanely and effectively address people who do fall into homelessness. So when we take the emotion out of it, the data shows us that homelessness clearly is a housing problem.
Thank you so much. I knew you were not new, so when I read, I was like, should I put a number in here? But thank you so much. I appreciate you. Next, we'll have Kavisha Moore, Director of Homeowner Services, Manatee County Habitat for Humanity. Kavisha is the third-generation Sarasota native. She has more than 10 years of experience in the nonprofit and education sectors and has held various leadership roles in her local community. Her work with Opportunities for All at the Greater Sarasota Chamber led her to accept her role at Manatee Habitat for Humanity, where she works with prospective homeowners and existing homeowners who want to find the path towards financial stability. Kavisha serves on the Board of Directors for Sarasota African American Cultural Coalition, Dreamers Academy, and also serves on the Community Advisory Board for the West Coast Black Theater Troupe. She holds a BS from the University of Florida and an MBA from Barry University, and is a graduate of the 2021 Gulf Coast Board Institute. She is the proud mother of her son, Kason, and the teddy bear puppy Prince. Please welcome Kavisha Moore.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us. Habitat's mission is seeking to put God's love into action. Manatee County Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Our mission, a world where everyone has a decent place to live. The high housing costs here in Manatee County, these are some numbers we got from Ransom. The median cost of a Manatee County home in August of this year was $467,000. To purchase a home with a just 5% down payment and today's 6.3% interest rate, your monthly payment would be roughly $3,346. With those numbers, an income needed for affordable housing, that is 30% of your gross annual income, is $135,000. The median income in Manatee County is $75,792,000. Today, a family that buys a Manatee Habitat home, 3-2, with zero interest, will pay roughly $1,100. That includes taxes, insurance, and your mortgage. Immediately, the first payment, you begin building equity in your home. The demand from Habitat Homes is growing fast. The need is great. We are here to serve. During our first week of applications this year that opened in September 2025, Manatee County received 462 applicants. I am currently the director, and I'm the one who sifts through those applications. I have already seen and roughly interviewed about 50 or 60 of those homeowners. And they too look like your neighbors. These are not people that are destitute. These are not people that are poor. Every Habitat homeowner must qualify. They must demonstrate a need. They must have the ability to pay. And most importantly, they must be willing to partner with us, doing at least 300 hours building their homes and the homes around them. Habitat homeowners receive financial education, financial education, and they also pay on their 30-year affordable housing. Since 1994, Habitat has placed has placed 175 families into homes. 96 of those homeowners have paid off or currently paying their mortgage. We have not foreclosed, even in all these trying times, on any homes in the last 6 years. Nearly 70 families have paid off their mortgage. Since COVID, Habitat has drastically increased their number of families we served. Prior to COVID, we were an affiliate that did 1 to 2 homes a year. Last year alone, we closed on 20 homes. That is 20 families in homes. We just started a new community off of 70. It's a 27-home community. It would include 3 2s and 4 2s. Those homeowners will pay, on average, again, $1,100 for $1,100 to $1,200 for their mortgages. Our homes are award-winning, built storm resilient, energy efficient, and very strong. This way, we're able to keep our maintenance costs low for our homeowners. Again, we do not give away homes. All of our incomes must be between 50 to 80% AMI, which is annual and area median income. You must live in unsustainable housing, and you must have at least 2 years of steady income. You must be able to qualify, meaning that your gross annual average income is 30%. With Habitat, we help our families achieve, with strength and stability, the independence needed to build a future home here in Manatee County. And a lot of times, I have a few numbers. We just recently put up a 16-home communities. In that community, we have 4 teachers, 7 medical field employees, whether they were phlebotomists, LPNs, med techs, surg techs. We have 1 daycare worker. We have 2 manufacturers, 2 social workers, 1 banker, and a government worker. So I just want you guys to understand that Habitat homeowners are homeowners, Habitat homes are for homeowners in our community and our everyday essential and blue collar workers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll have Melissa Larkin Skinner, President of Community Associate and Supported Living, Inc. Melissa Larkin joined Community Assisted and Supported Living as president in 2024, having spent her career focused on mental health and addiction treatment. Melissa learned the imperative of meeting basic needs for treatment to truly change people's lives. Melissa believes housing and healthcare is treatment to truly change people's lives, that passionately pursuing opportunities to create safe, affordable housing and supportive programs that bring hope and a sense of community to people experiencing a myriad of mental health, addiction, and development challenges. Prior to her role, Melissa served as CEO of Centerstone from 2016 to 2024. Please welcome Melissa Larkin Skinner.
All right. So about 1.5 years ago, I left my old organization where I'd been for 30 years. I am a Manatee County resident. I grew up here. It's my community. I love this community. I worked in the behavioral health space, and I can tell you for an absolute fact, over 30 years, every single time I looked into why people didn't show up for services, didn't take their medication, showed up repeatedly at our hospital or crisis stabilization unit, the one common factor was homelessness. It kept coming back in, kept coming back in. So When I was looking for what I wanted to do next in my career, I was lucky enough to know a gentleman named Scott Eller, who founded a company called Community Assisted and Supported Living. We've known each other for about 15 years, and I decided I wanted to shift from the focus of providing therapy, medication, and all the treatment services that go along in that area, and work on something a bit more profound. If people don't have a safe place to live, nothing else matters. That is my opinion, based on my life experience. So just to tell you a little bit about Castle and why I was so excited and still am today to join the organization. Scott started it in 1998 along with his wife with an assisted living facility for adults who have severe mental illness, so schizophrenia. From that, he grew it because they had a passion for working with people. We are a nonprofit. And what we have today is about 140 properties that are single-family homes, duplexes, and the like, as well as 12 developments, so think apartment complexes, in 10 counties in Florida. The bulk of those are in Sarasota and down south to Collier, because it has taken us a little while to get into Manatee County. I remember introducing Scott to folks years ago, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. But the good news is that we had a groundbreaking a couple weeks ago for a development called Cedar Cove, 77 apartments. And here's the exciting thing about those 77 apartments. It's down the street from the original Chick-fil-A that we have on 41. Not, we have like 4 or 5 now. The important things, Chick-fil-A. So 77, 14 of those units will be 1 bedroom, 1 bath. 42 of those units, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. 24 of those units, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. And these are the rents. So our scale is 35% and 60% of area median income. So a rent for somebody at 35% of the area median income, the rent for 1 bedroom will be $706. $847 for a 2-bedroom, $979 for a 3-bedroom. At 60% of area median income, it's $1,211, $1,453, $1,679. Years ago, I used to beg landlords to let my folks live in their places that they owned. I would guarantee that we would pay the rent, repair any damages, and respond to any crisis. And it was hard. But the rent was only $400 a month or $600 a month. Things have gotten so out of control, which my colleagues have said here. But I want to say the exciting thing that we do at Castle is every development is a little bit different. We currently house around 1,600 people. We provide services to the vast majority of those folks because, believe it or not, there are many folks who don't know how to live on their own, don't know how to take care of a home or an apartment or themselves. And so we teach them that with the goal that eventually they will not need those services. So we do the whole shebang. The particularly exciting thing is we modify our developments to meet the needs of the community we're in. There will be the Cedar Cove one that I just talked about near the Chick-fil-A. Is for people coming out of homelessness, particularly families coming out of homelessness. So we'll get them out of homelessness, provide them with services. Hopefully, eventually they'll own a home, hopefully, maybe through Habitat. We have one going up across from the airport called Legacy Village in partnership with Easter Seals. That one is particularly exciting. It's going to look like an Italian village. The first floor will be commercial, and one of the agreements that anyone who rents those or leases those spaces has to make with us is that they will employ people who live there. And that one is focused on people with developmental disabilities in partnership with our friends at Easter Seals. Just to give you an example of how successful we can be with all of what I talked about, Arbor Village in Sarasota on Fruitville, over 80 apartments. Everybody that came out everybody that came into that apartment complex 5 years ago was homeless. And we have retained 95% of those folks. In partnership with Centerstone, because I signed the lease all those years ago. We still have it there, and so people can just walk across the parking lot to get their services if they need to, or Centerstone can respond if there's a crisis. So I went over a little bit, sorry, Xtavia, and I will redo my bio so it's easier to read. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I appreciate you and everything that you are doing. And our last speaker is Steve Reinhardt, owner of Reinhardt Housing and Reinhardt Roofing, Manatee County Affordable Housing Advisory Board Chair. Let's read a little bit about Steve. Steve relocated from Ohio to Florida in 1990. Shortly after graduating from college by 1994, he had earned his general contractor's license, followed additional certifications in residential swimming pool and roofing contracting. As the founder and owner of Reinhardt Homes, Steve has built nearly 500 homes and developed approximately 400 residential lots across Sarasota and Manatee counties, and responsible development in Southwest Florida. His work reflects a long-standing commitment to quality construction. In 2016, Steve shifted the focus of his career to advancing affordable housing in the region. In 2019, he has served on the Manatee County Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, where he has held the role of chairman for the past 4 years. Under the leadership, the committee continues to advocate for sustainable, accessible housing solutions to meet the growing needs of this community. Please welcome Steve Reinhardt.
Thank you for having me. I love building homes, and it's given me great pride. And when you can bring something up out of the ground, and when your customer is so happy making their dreams into reality, there's a sense of there's a great sense of pride. But in 2016, when I acquired Cortez Landings, which was approximately 58 units next to Southeast High School, was my first introduction into affordable housing. Prior to that, I was more of an opportunity builder, where I would find an opportunity, I would build, whether it was high-end or middle of the road. And it changed how I wanted to finish my career. We had, I forget which hurricane, but I was amazed to watch everybody come together in that community and preserve what they had acquired. Even though my average sales price was $165,000 for house and lot, and the people took such great pride, and it really touched me. And so someone in Neighborhood Services suggested I get involved with Manatee Housing Advisory Committee. AHAC, which is what we call it, and I did. And some of my challenges of providing affordable housing, obviously we all know what COVID did. You all have been to the grocery store, prices have gone up quite a bit. In our trade, we can easily account for a 45 or 50% increase, easily. When I started in 1994, there were two national home builders, U.S. Home and Pulte, and there was whispering of Lakewood Ranch. There was a plethora of small home builders, but now, if you were to count how many national home builders, we probably have at least 3 dozen, all with many millions of dollars for their land acquisition and so forth in their budget. And so small builders have a hard time competing. And I'm reading this book called Escaping the Housing Trap. And what they have come to the conclusion, as well as I have, affordable housing has gotten worse, and we have more national home builders. National home builders are not going to solve the affordable housing crisis. It's going to take small people, small developers, like Mark, One Stop, like a lot of our nonprofit, for-profit, but people that can get in and out. But the challenges we face, we have a very arduous and expensive entitlement process. And what do I mean by, let's say we find a piece of property, and before we buy it, we need to get all of the necessary permitting. professional reports, et cetera, that can take anywhere from 14 months to 24 months. It can take several $100,000. You could get complete staff approval, go in front of your Board of County Commissioners, and get a no. I can't sustain that. I can't sustain that. It takes a ton of capital. So my efforts in the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee is to make changes to the Land Development Code, specifically Chapter 545, to help get us better definitions. But I would love to have Manatee County Board of County Commissioners come in, pay a high-level national consultant, do what we say a housing overlay to address affordable housing, because Manatee County unincorporated also has the burden with the city of Bradenton. So we have two municipalities to deal with. We have the urban core, which is where you want affordable housing, but that's under the city of Bradenton. So how do you handle mass transit and so forth? So there's a lot of challenges, but I think right now, as small home builders, we're the tail wagging the dog. I think we need a little more direction from our leaders. We need to streamline the entitlement process. We need to make some revisions to Land Development Code that when we do X, Y, and Z, we would be assured of getting the project going. The amount of capital and the risk, we live in a crazy time, and all we need is someone in the Middle East to drop a bomb in our economy. We could do everything right as a builder and now be stuck with something that we can't sell because interest rates have gone from 6% to 10%, or even worse. I had a project during the 08 turndown, and one thing that helped stimulate that was the $7,500 tax credit. I know that's outside Manatee County's scope, but that would surely help, a tax credit for first-time home buyers to be reinstituted. But it's going to be the small home builder, small developer, whether it's for-profit or not-profit, that will help solve our affordable housing crisis. And if we had steps in place that would help reduce our risk and time, it would be a lot easier to accomplish that goal. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our panelists. I really, really appreciate all the information, but we want to give an opportunity to the audience to ask questions. To ask a question of our speakers, you must be a member of the Manatee Tiger Bay Club. To become a member, we'll take your $100 today, and that will roll you into next year. We have one more meeting for this year also. It's going to be on senior fraud. Members, to allow everyone a chance to ask a question, you are limited to only 30 seconds. Please do not elaborate. Ask the question and listen for the panelists to respond to you. Panelists, try to keep it to 15 to 30 seconds. Share your microphones, guys. There's 3 microphones or 4 on the table. You may step to the microphone. On the panel, just make sure you address. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Liv Coleman. I'm a professor of political science at the University of Tampa, and I live in Bradenton. Thank you so much for this terrific panel. We heard a bit about how being in a coastal region drives up, prices, as well as national home builders driving up prices. There was also a study in the Tampa Bay Times a year ago saying that private investors with ties to private equity and Wall Street have taken up over, 10% of Florida's single-family rentals, and I was wondering if you've seen that impact in this community with prices or what's going on in the market, and what, if anything, we could do about this. This question's for anyone who would like to respond. Thank you.
Anyone can pick up the microphone.
So this is something that I'm aware of. I don't know the exact extent of the problem in Manatee County, but it is something that I'm concerned about that may be driving up prices of rentals in the county. I don't know if there's anything that we could do on the local level via ordinance to address it, but it is on my radar.
Can you make sure you have a microphone? Thank you.
How Manatee County currently addresses it, if I provide affordable housing, let's say I have a project of 100 units, and if I've taken advantage of some of the current incentives that are in place, I have to have at least 25% that meet a certain affordable range. And that, I have to sign a LURA, a land use restriction agreement, and that stays in place, that's recorded on the property, and it could last 20 to 30 years. So even if, let's say, Blackwater bought that property, they can't nullify that LURA. So they would have to comply with the terms that have been recorded and for that specific project, for that property.
If they bought a project that was under Allura.
That is correct.
I think it's interesting, as a realtor, during COVID, we saw a lot of investors from other states coming here, I mean, outbidding, and then they flip those properties, and instead of the $1,700 a month, we saw the skyrocket. And then if someone's putting rent at $3,000 and you have a rental next door, I mean, people are trying to, I mean, I guess that would be opportunity, but everyone wants to make a profit. Next question, please.
My first question would be, and Steve has already heard this, what is anyone doing? Because although we have affordable housing, what I've seen in my career is that people go to apply for an apartment, but they're turned down, especially the people from our recovery community that are trying to get out of sober living, that could free up some space for somebody on the street. They've got a previous felony or a previous, like an eviction, yes. So are there any programs out there to help those people to get into an affordable housing place that can make exceptions for that? That's actually a nice place to live.
Right. Anyone want to answer?
There are, but even the places that we have, they still have requirements. But there absolutely are. Many of the people, for instance, in our apartment complex at Arbor Village, have some background. But there is going to be a threshold, and there will be certain charges that people have that will still exclude them from being able to be on the property. So they do exist.
Okay. Next question is that I know that the SHIP funds we have right now from the state, we have about a couple $1 million in the budget, and all of them are being used for first-time home buyers, but we are allowed to use a first and last month's rent and a deposit if we were to kind of rewrite our affordable housing plan for the county. And so is anyone given any thought to reallocating that to help people, because it's a part of the process, off the street into some kind of temporary living, into an apartment, into a house, so we're missing that link. Is there anything out there for that?
I think that's a really good suggestion, because I know that's a significant barrier for people who are kind of trying to take that next step, is getting that first and last month's rent, security deposit. So that's something that I would definitely be open to looking at. Absolutely.
Hi, thank you so much. My name is Chelsea Auger. First, I just want to say thank you to all of you for all the wonderful work that you're doing. I have a brother with severe and profound autism. He lives in state housing and has, in the last 13 years, been moved 3 different times. When I speak with families and just looking at my own lived experience and looking at wait lists, we're seeing 10 years, 15 years for individuals who are severely vulnerable. So when I look at housing and what I'm hearing, I'm seeing a lot of great movement, but it looks like it's focused on individuals who are maybe a little bit more higher functioning. Is there anything in the plans for these vulnerable communities who are looking for long-term housing for people like my brother?
We have that. Yeah, so there's always going to be a level that can't be independent, okay? So it depends. It's on a huge continuum, but we do have housing for that, and I am happy to talk to you about it afterward.
Hi, my name is Jane Filesticker, and I am a member and a board member here. My question is mostly for you, Amanda Ballard. Many of us as existing landlords aren't receiving any of the incentives that the new building units are coming up with. So I was wondering if there's any plan for in the future to incentivize landlords like me who've been owning these properties for many years, and we don't want to raise our rent, but.
And we haven't raised our rent, yeah. Is there another one we can get to you?
So I really appreciate that question, and I've met with several landlords who've kind of expressed similar concerns that they're getting kind of compressed from every direction, right? Because property insurance is going up, property taxes are going up, and you have these small landlords who are actually the ones who are providing a lot of times the bulk of affordable housing throughout the community. And so this is actually something that I brought up with our Board of County Commissioners for one of our legislative priorities for last year was to maybe change Live Local incentives to include incentives for some of those existing and smaller landlords. We didn't make it very far, but I'm very aware of the concern, and I would like to see something change. And if you have a suggestion of something that we could do at the local level, I'm open to hearing it for sure.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, my name is Tom Seguin, and interestingly enough, I volunteer at Turning Points once a week. And I was there today, and one of the clients working on the patio, and one of the clients, he was very angry, and he was sleeping in a public place. He got arrested. He was in jail for 3 days.
That's
Now, I
okay.
know we've got the shelters. Okay, the women's shelter, I believe, is under one roof. Yes. That's 57th Avenue, and then we also have Salvation Army, which is going to be for families. Under one roof is for women, and then was it Fresh Start Manatee that's going to be for men? And is that on like 26th Avenue East?
Right by there, yeah. So it's our current Public Works building.
Okay, so if you have these shelters, and then how long, there are time limits. I think you said 100 days for under one roof, and Salvation Army, I believe, has time limits, and that Fresh Start Manatee, I believe, will have time limits. So if they time out, then what happens?
So they do all have time limits, and that's why it's so important that while people are participating in these shelters, that they're working with our nonprofit partners and that they're working with those wraparound services to help people find that next step. So whether that is getting some job training, whether that is figuring out that they need some sort of treatment program, whether that is, just connecting with One Stop or Castle and trying to figure out that next stop for that next step for housing. We're going to have navigators, case managers working with people throughout that process to find people the next step. The Fresh Start will also be just an overnight shelter as well, but we will have a programmatic component to actually help people to figure out their next step.
And I think I saw that was it a point in time when they count the number of homeless people in
Yes.
The county? I think it said 2023, there were 1,500 homeless people in the county. And if there are that many homeless people, shelters certainly aren't going to hold them. And now we've got this law in place where if they're sleeping in a public place, they can be arrested. I mean, I can see that being like, overcrowding of the jails and just
That's good.
problematic.
Yeah, well, we're doing our very best to comply with state law, to create shelters that are going to not just be a place for people to, get off the street, but a place to actually give them the tools that they need to become functioning members of society. So we're working as hard as we can on it at the county level, but, it's a little bit of a looming concern.
Sure. Thank you very much.
I was just going to add that there's a continuum of housing and services. Shelter is the beginning of that continuum, but Manatee County government has been working hard over the last several years to fill in the pieces of the entire continuum so that we can move people from homelessness to shelters and on into all the other things to, something permanent.
Thank you.
It all just takes time.
Yes.
Hello, Pamela Harbour. I'm a member of the Manatee Tiger Bay Club Board. I have a question about seniors on a fixed income who live in mobile homes. I've been hearing that the carrying charges are exceeding their monthly checks that they receive, what recommendation would you have? I actually sing in a choir with a 79-year-old woman who her fervent wish is to change mobile homes, maybe come to Bradenton, because the park that she's in, the fee keeps increasing and it's really consuming, her monthly check. Do you have any recommendation at all for that scenario?
I wish I did. I really, because we've been hearing about this now for at least 5 years, and it's getting worse. That's actually the group growing at the highest rate into homelessness.
Yes.
And I don't have a solution. But I hope that we'll do like we always do and come together and figure something out. Because we have a lot of that here.
Okay, thank
And
you.
if I could just add really quickly, this is something that I'm very aware of as well. I have a lot of constituents who are in this situation, and many have come to me saying lot rent has been raised so much that I don't know how I'm going to stay in my mobile home. And I've had conversations with people up here on this panel about what can we do about that, and it is something that we're actively working on. But again, it takes time, and it's going to be a couple years before we can, hopefully get anything addressed.
Perhaps we'll have another program in a couple of years. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I was going to add that it's not only going to affect mobile homes, the next one's going to be condos, because condo association fees keep going up, and people that have owned their condo for 20 years, 30 years
losing
aren't
it.
going to be able to afford the condo fees.
Thank you.
So I'm going to close the questions out. I'm going to start with you, Steve, and we're going to go all the way down to Dan. I need about a 15-second, I would like a 10-second response on what do you think you need to continue to do, or what is the challenge for the community as far as our challenge with affordable and workforce housing?
My perspective is building new. I would, working through AHAC, I'm trying to get some direction from the county. We don't have current goals and so forth, and I would appreciate, I'm going to try to convince the county to spend a little money to get some consultants in here to give us some direction on overlays on where we want affordable housing from a new point of perspective. And help give smaller guys direction and understanding on where we need to concentrate our efforts.
So convince the county to spend more money. No.
That's what you took away from that.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Mine would be along the same lines, and that is to look at it as a whole. One of the challenges we get into as human beings is we respond to every crisis, but we do so in a vacuum where we're not looking at the whole situation. Like, we have to consider the mobile home parks, the condos, the single-family homes, the apartments. It's a big system, and we got to just make sure that whatever decisions we're making aren't focused on that one thing that we're making a decision about. It has to be the whole picture, and then that will give us the ability to have a good plan that's sustainable for the foreseeable future.
Thank you, Kavisia.
My perspective is home ownership. How do we get more donors, public dollars, state, federal dollars, to actually help us build more homes? Because one of the things as the director, I see day in day families who are able to better their lives, go back to school, help their kids because they were in an affordable housing and stable living, and they were able to advance not only themselves but also their families. So affordable housing and stability, because everyone deserves a decent place to live.
Thank you.
We have to
Kathleen?
remember it's a community issue. You cannot pass the buck on homelessness or affordable housing. It is not the nonprofits' issue. It is not the government's issue. It is everyone's issue, and it takes all of us working together. We have, if we want government to change, then it's up to us as voters and constituents to let them know that this is what we support. And we, as business owners, we have to invest in things that will support affordable housing. And so we all have to do our part.
I agree with a lot of what was said, but I think the way to home ownership is if we can keep the rents low enough, people can put money in their pocket, especially if they're not in an income restriction. So when they income raises or they get the promotion, they're not back out on the street trying to fight for themselves. I think a big thing that the county's been exploring is the gap funding, not giving money to development, but loaning the money at a low interest that allows us as a development to mind the gap, and they put the restrictions on making sure that it's affordable. I think if we can get the gap, you'll see a lot of developments popping up.
So I believe that one of our biggest struggles in county government is continuity. So you have every couple of years, you have turnover, and then you have a whole new group of people who may have completely different priorities. And so you start moving on projects and priorities and moving things forward, and it takes 3 years to move something forward. You finally get some traction, and then there's an election, and there's new people, and who knows if they care about the same thing. And so it's really difficult to keep projects moving forward in a positive way with that kind of turnover.
Thank you. I would agree with, what everyone said on the panel, and just, it's meetings like this and what Kathleen said about community, just us coming together against the issue, not against each other, I think will be a value add and let us really bring things forward. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I'm last at the table, Xtavia, so it's back to you.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of our panelists. Please give them a round of applause. Also, thank you for attending the luncheon today. We appreciate you being here. Thank you to our Board of Directors and Program Committee. Our next meeting will be held November 20th. The topic is elderly fraud. We'll have the former state's attorney for the Middle District of Florida, Roger Hamburg, shareholder in Gray Robinson, and Officer Deanna McNeil, Elder Fraud Unit with Bradenton Police Department, and Detective Jim Carula, Elder Fraud Unit. Evidently, this is getting out of hand, so we want to talk about it and be informed. Thanks to TLC Embellishment Catering. Thanks to everyone, METV. We appreciate you as always. Thank you so much for coming. I think it's 1 o'clock. Have a great day.